Good morning. I'm Vince Lancy, and this is the market rundown. All right, abbreviated version. Let's go through the markets first. 429 up 1. That's the 10-year yield. Dollar is 103.59 up 18. The S&P 500 is 56.14 up 43. The VIX is 26.03 down almost 1 percentage point. Gold is 29.16 up 78 basis points. 78 cents, I should say. Silver 33.03 up 12. Copper 482-ish up 8, very strong. WTI 67.12 up 43. Nat gas 438 down 5. Goldman just recommended to get out of longs in nat gas from their trading desk. Bitcoin 82,900 up 19. Palladium 949, platinum 983. That spread is widening now. Gold, silver under 90 firmly now. Soybean 993, 452 for corn, and 556 for wheat. Down 5 and change, down 5 and change, down 2 and change. Okay, let's get right to it. All right, two things today, platinum and CPI. So let's go through that. So UBS has a platinum report out, and they have wanted to be bullish on platinum, but have not been able to for the last, it looks like, year. But it looks like they finally have, you know, cracked it. Platinum was undersupplied by nearly 1 million ounces in 2024, but large above ground inventories likely prevented the metal price from rising. That's a very similar story to silver. We expect platinum to be undersupplied by 500,000 ounces in 2025, keeping the metal in a deficit for a third consecutive year. In US dollars per ounce terms, forecast spot 05 March 25 to June. Okay, I'm sorry. That's me copy pasting something that shouldn't be there. We target a price of 1,100 per ounce by mid-2025, but we continue to expect platinum to lag gold until lower rates support longer industrial activity. Okay, short version of what they're talking about here. There's the chart. Okay, in surplus, undersupplied, right? So they're talking about a market that they think is headed towards a shortage, which is consistent with how things have been going production-wise over the world because of the lack of demand. So lack of supply follows lack of demand. Speaking personally, I've always tried to ride platinum higher, and I've always made a little or lost a little. The most recent things that I've done have been long platinum and short palladium. Not very recently, a couple of years ago. But if you look right now, it looks like as peace breaks out, platinum looks better relative to palladium. It doesn't necessarily mean platinum's a buy. But I would say that this is the playbook that they had on silver. They started talking about silver this way, about a year ago, when they said we want to sell silver. We want to buy silver if it drops below 28. They want to buy silver by selling puts, right? And they've moved away from that in silver because they're just outright bullish now. But anyway, that's the platinum take. We have the full report at the bottom, and you're welcome to read that. It may seem, look, we've had a lot of fireworks lately, right? So you may say, oh, it's not really that exciting. Well, it's because we're spoiled, Anyway, CPI outlook. CPI is at 830. It's 759 right now. February core CPI is expected to increase by 0.29%, slightly below the consensus of 0.3%. That's Goldman Sachs's number. Core CPI is forecast at 3.2%. What does that mean? In context, see how big this gets if not much bigger. Maybe I can do this. All right. The market expects 0.3% annualized CPI, and that's cooler than inflation has been. So it's cooling off from the last, say, month or two. January was very hot, if I remember correctly. So how important is it today? Well, it's hard to say how important it is, but I'll tell you how the market is looking at it, right? The market right now is looking at CPI. It's not really looking at CPI. It's focused on 3 down days of stocks on recession fears, right? So right now the market is worried about recession. So in a normal environment, if the CPI is too high, the stock market would take that as uh, bearish, and if it's too low, it would take that as bullish. That's the obvious consensus concept, right? But right now, the market is skewed towards worrying about recession more than inflation. So if CPI comes in low, the stock market will rally, but because it's still more worried about recession than inflation right now, it will probably say, Powell's still not going to ease, right? And so you'll have a rally, and the trading desks think that you'll have a rally and it'll probably be sold. Now, they've been wrong before, but that's what they think. The flip side is if inflation comes in too high, right? Then you go from recession fears where to stagflation fears. So if inflation comes in cold, you think recession fears are what they worry about. And so while it could rally, it won't rally much. If inflation comes in hot, you think, oh shit, this is really bad because we already don't think Powell's going to raise rates, lower rates, and we're already in recession fears. So inflation comes in high, people start talking stagflation. And stagflation baskets of stocks are doing well now. What are stagflation baskets? Well, basically stocks that are commodity based, right? So commodities are outperforming stocks. And so whether you call it stagflation or not, you will see commodities outperform stocks. News and analysis, special all gold is monetary gold. I feel pretty strongly about that. I feel pretty strongly that that's where the manipulation is. It's the manipulation of the books around gold. EU may confiscate Russian reserves. That's Michael Every on well, the EU may confiscate Russian reserves. Everybody's getting all flexy now at the wrong time. Founder CTA Stock Puke and what it means. I thought that was pretty good. And there's the Gold and Silver book, The Greatest Bull Market Has Begun by Jordan. Uh, uh, anyway, it's a really good technical book. You drop your email and it gives you the book. You know how these things work. But that's it. Market recap, stocks are doomed. That's just, I'm taking a shortcut today. The market news is what it is. The geopolitics, there's so much on war and tariffs that I just threw the war in the bottom, right? All the war stuff. And the tariff thing is just playing out as Trump is hoping it will, at least right now, at least today it is. Remember, he's a bully, right? So he's going to threaten his friends and coddle his enemies in the beginning, right? And if it works, he ends up hugging his friends and shitting on his enemies. That's the key, right? Canada comes around. Canada's a very good country. I love Canada. Oh yeah, Trump says he respects Ontario's decision. It's the whole. If you bend the knee to me, I will relent on attacking you, and it's very effective in bursts, right? It doesn't work as a 10-year strategy. It works as a 6-month strategy or tactic. So it's working that way. So Canada and the US are coming along on that. Mexico, I don't know if they're going to come along. It has to do with the cars. They probably will. Brazil begging, like it's like you don't beg Trump after he wins, right? Brazil asked the US to postpone the deadline for it. They're not going to. No, we're not going to postpone it unless we get something out of it. Australia seems like they're smart, saying we're not going to say shit. We're just going to do what we have to do. We're not going to get in Trump's way. And uh, UK, I don't know, talking tough but not really being tough. All right, so back to the markets. Uh, so gold, there's gold daily. That's poly. Let me hide that. Right. So um, I should put another butterfly on. See this here? You're like, oh my God, it's basing to do this. It's about the collapse. It's a rounding top, or it's basing to go higher. You know what? I don't know which way it's going, but I know this. We're now in an area where seeking value, finding value, and now deciding if the value is too high or too low. And so that means a lot of disagreement between 28.51 and 29.47. I would say uh, buy a 3,000 call, sell a 29.50 call, sell a 2,900 call, buy a 28.50 call. So I'm looking at a condor, right? Silver back on its horse. Look at that. That's like boom. Okay, that's back on trend. Whereas gold is back on trend but at a lower rate. All right, I'm Vince. Have a great day. Good luck.